Hey guys, so it's Lemon once again. I figured I'd do a quick little tutorial of how I edit my photos in Lightroom. So you can see that I'm using Lightroom 2. It's an older version of Lightroom. I think the most up-to-date version is Lightroom 4, which I have a couple friends that use that. But I use Lightroom 2 because it's what I have and it's easy and blah 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 blah. Anyways, so this is a great photo of Hatter. I love it. I think it's hilarious. You can zoom in, you can see his face. It's in focus. He's got the rock hands up. And I think it's a good overall fun photo. Over here you can see that I shot it at ISO 400 with a 51mm focal length or whatever, 51mm aperture, or focal length, 7.1 aperture, 1/100th of a second, blah blah. All of the data is over in this corner, which is really convenient when it comes to Lightroom. I like having the ability to see all of that so I can kind of get a heads up of how much grain I'm gonna get with the processing that I'm about to do, because you can see this photo is really dark, and under most circumstances I wouldn't have kept this, and this is one that I would not edit in Photoshop because it is so dark. So if you can zoom in again, you can see how there's a little bit of grain in his cheeks, and it's really dark. So I'm gonna try to brighten that up. Now the way that you brighten a picture, there's one of two ways, well, three ways. There's brightness, which just kind of overall brightens everything, and that's way too much for me. I don't like that. So I usually stick with exposure and fill light, and I brighten it to something I like, just kind of, again, remember how I said I haphazardly kind of play around? Yeah, that's generally how my photo editing works. I just kind of go for it. So you can see I've actually brought out a lot more of the grain. So there's a lot more grain in his cheeks and everywhere. So once I've got it to a brightness I like, and I'm actually happy with that one there, it's just, you guys are lucky I got it on the first shot. I go into detail, and again, haphazard. So I always start just going all the way to 100 and see what the maximum is, and going, okay, I don't quite want that. What happens if I pull all the color? And I'm gonna leave the color at 100 because it brought out a lot of the color noise. So if you see, there's a lot of like fluctuation, like especially right around here, around his nose. There's like some grays and all that stuff, and the color noise reduction got rid of it. So from there, I kind of slide up. I'm at a point that I like, and again, I kind of see what the maximum is, and then drop it down until I get to something I like. So this is a lot better already. You can see them side by side right here. That's the original. It's really dark and dingy, and this is the new one. So I'm gonna keep editing in full screen. So once I've got that, I go into my oh no, there we go. So sorry. So again, haphazard edits. Slide it all the way down. That makes all of the highlights, or all the really white parts of it, go dark, and that makes them ridiculously bright. I don't always play with tone curve, but I think I might try to play with the darks a little bit. Brighten those up just a hair, and possibly even darken the lights just a bit so I can see things a little bit better. Oops. And there we go. Okay, and I usually darken the shadows. Another way of darkening the shadows is by going into the blacks area, and you can go all the way up and you see that, well, you can finally see the detail in the pants, but I never do that. I usually just bring it up to about 3 or 4. And then from there, I check the contrast, see what happens if I slide it up a lot, see what happens if I slide it down a lot. And I usually, it depends on the photo. This one I'm gonna probably leave it at 0. That's close enough. Okay, so what clarity does is, clarity is kind of another focusing thing. So if I bring it all the way up to the 100, you can see that things are, it's hard to explain clarity. I really generally don't go to 100 on this one. If you go reverse clarity, that's the opposite of it. So it's, again, it's easier to show the extremes. I generally kind of stick with it in the middle. If not, I bump it up to about 25. So from here we can take a look at the vibrance, and so again, vibrance won't drop it all the way down to black and white, but it'll pull a lot of the color out. So again, going all the way down, it's not quite black and white, but it's pretty darn dingy, and that one's ridiculously obnoxious. Although that is my Mad Tea photo edit style, is I try to go a little bit more vibrant with my Mad Tea photos than I do with my others, because the style of Mad Tea Party is wild party craziness, and I like to reflect that in my photo styles. So, and then the last thing that I play with, and I usually don't play with it much, is saturation. And with saturation, you can make something go completely black and white, or that, and I generally bump it up just a hair. Again, I want to bring out the green in the inside of his coat right there with the saturation, and then I go back and forth between the vibrance and the saturation and see what I get. So that I'm happy with for now. So I've done all of those. I then go to the white balance and see what happens if I cool it down or warm it up. That's way too warm. I generally tend to warm up my photos just a hair. So this one I'm at, like, by just a hair I mean like just 6 on the slider, just a hair, just to give it a little bit more warmth and coziness. Okay, so that's the easy part. From here, I've gotten really into doing the split toning recently, and kind of seeing what I get with that. And again, first broad, so I go I just click somewhere high on the slider, and then I slide it along until I kind of see something that I don't mind. Like, I usually kind of like it in the 79 area. That's kind of an orange, or a yellowy green. This 83 isn't bad either. And then from there, I slide the saturation way down. So that's what it looks like before, and then I kind of just bring it up until it's somewhere where I'm happy with it, and it's never anywhere close to where I started. From there, I go into the shadows, and again, I just kind of slide it along. There's the oranges, the greens, then we're getting to the blues, and the purples, and the pinks. I never do red. Sometimes I usually do blue for shadows and yellow for highlights, but sometimes I'll switch them. But it's usually in the blue and yellow range. Just again. So from here, then I slide the saturation all the way back down and bring it up gradually until I see something that I like. And that's about it. Okay. From here I go into the balance and I slide it all the way one way, see how that made the photo a lot cooler, and then that way makes it a lot warmer. And I'm really not happy with either of those, so I kind of, again, play with it in the middle. I kind of like it right around there. And when I'm doing this, I'm never looking at the numbers, I'm only looking at the image. So let's look at them side by side now. So you can see this one, it's still dark. That's the only thing that I look at when I see this picture. It's dark, it's dingy, I don't like it. So I then look at the new one, and I'm pretty happy with that for now. So again, easy part is done. Now for the long, time-consuming, obnoxious part, especially when it comes to pictures of Hatter. He is a riot of color, as in he has every single color on him, which means you have to go through every single color slider. So again, if you were doing this in Photoshop in selective color, you would need to go through every single one to balance him out. So I like to kind of play with the reds and the magentas first, to play with the skin tone and get it to somewhere I like. But again, I'm also trying to balance this with the red of the t-shirt and the red of the pants, which I want to keep vibrant. So I kind of leave that as it is. Sometimes I'll slide the hue to be a little bit more orange, so that it makes him look a little bit less red, and then his clothes look a little bit more orange, which is unfortunate, but I can sometimes fix that with magentas. And that's where magentas today. Magentas are only in the sleeve, and just to edit of this, I haven't taken a look at it really. So you're getting to see my process really as I go through it. So congratulations. Other than that, so okay, I've done the magentas and the reds, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's still a nice bright colored red. Okay, so that's all good. Oranges is the next one. Orange, there's a lot of orange in the hair and in the skin in this one. So again, you can play with the luminosity and you can see where it goes. I generally, it depends on it really depends on the photo that I'm working on, if I brighten it or darken it. In this case, I'm going to brighten the luminosity just a hair, and I might slide the hue a little bit more yellow to get it to where I want it. And then I generally leave the saturation of orange alone because it's challenging to work with. So for greens, I have a feeling that it's going to be in the bands on the sleeves, and yep, and then inside the coat and the hat and blah 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 blah. So I'm going to kind of slide the saturate or the luminance to somewhere I like it. Sometimes, again, I don't look at the numbers, I only look at the picture as I'm going through these. I've gotten to the point where I really don't look at the hue slider much, I don't play with it too much, because I kind of want to keep things as they are in the colors. I just want to brighten them. And the aquas are generally in his hat. Yep, they're all in the hat right now. So that one's there. So if you remember, I gave in the previous one, I said that the aquas are all in the March Hare's coat. Aquas are also in the Mad Hatter's hat, and they're also in the Cheshire Cat a little bit, as well as Caterpillar. Dormouse really doesn't have any aquas. Dormouse has a lot of blues and a lot of reds in him. Okay, so now we're on to blues, and blues are going to be the sunglasses and the jacket. So even though the jacket looks purple, it's got a lot of blues in it, as well as the scarf. So I actually ended up darkening that one a little bit, and I'm going to probably push it a little bit more towards the purple side of it, because didn't feel like the jacket was true to life. And then I might bump up the saturation just a hair. And again, like I said, I tend to go a little bit more wild and crazy on the colors with my Mad Tea photos, simply because that's a style that I like to use, and it fits Mad Tea for me. So, and then in the purples are in the jacket saturation. It doesn't do much. So I might drop the luminosity down just a hair to get it back to what I remember the jacket looking like, and then I can play with the colors and see what I like. Again, I try to get it to as true to life as I remember it. Okay, so the jacket looks good to me. The sunglasses look good to me. He doesn't have a whole lot of grain left in him. Okay, so I would say I'm happy with those. So that's how I edit my photos in Lightroom. And from here you go into Library and you export it, and then you're all solid. So I hope you have a great day.